evening, everybody, and welcome to the Purdy Sandspit, wherever you might be tuning in from. We hope that you're warm and cozy, because it's definitely a little chilly on this evening.
A little chilly. It's a lot chilly.
I'm not supposed to say the R word.
Yeah,
But
it's not raining. Woohoo!
we're super excited to kick off our first winter beach monitoring event this evening. There's a nice low tide for us to do some surveys out here on the Purdy Sandspit, and we've got a great crew of kind of our dream team.
Woohoo!
What were y'all just checking out?
Ooh, Luna. All right, that's a great name. How did you know it was a she snail and not a he snail? Because it lived in the sea.
How do you know Luna is a girl? Yeah.
Ooh, because it'd be Luno if it was a boy name.
Well,
Yeah, shoot. Well, cool. I'll go check that out.
before you
Yeah, I was gonna say, what stage in your monitoring are you?
so right now we are mid-presence absence survey, which is where we're looking for things that are there.
Yes,
and
love it.
counting them. And so you can see it starts out really boring. There's not a lot of X's, which means there's not a lot of stuff. And then we hit a certain part on the beach where, as you get closer to the water, you start to see more life. This, of course,
that's
is all
stuff.
exposed because the tide is low. This is an area of the beach that gets covered and uncovered by the water.
You like your tidal dance. That's pretty great.
And something cool we get to see, and which kind of gives me a clue. My car's passing by. I always wonder what they wonder we're doing.
Yes, right? They're like, who are these crazy people out at night?
It's a good thing. It's probably not your guess. As I snot on the beach here. How do you know
It's called. Everybody's doing the sniff. Okay.
But we know it's a nice low tide, or we're in an area where the tide is normally low, because there's this tiny little soft-bodied animal
Whoa.
called a sea slug.
That is an opalescent nudibranch. That is just tiny, and it's surrounded by some snails, so that's really going to be hard to focus on. But
Get a little pencil point.
yeah, I can do the zoom. There we go.
There you go.
There's a snail or a slug right there.
A slug surrounded by snails. And these snails are also a lower intertidal species called the dove snail, or Alia. And what I'm noticing is they kind of have a pattern that's similar to the checkered periwinkle. And I just learned this evening that that's because they're juveniles.
Oh,
So you can see the little tiny baby ones growing into the
Yeah.
little bit bigger ones. There are so many juvenile snails on this beach right now. So,
So
at
many
some point, I
snails.
hope Rachel takes you on that tour.
Oh
'cause,
yes.
Wow, there are snails for days.
Speaking of snails, let's go check out that moon snail.
Yeah.
Because that's everybody's favorite. Big, huge, carnivorous snail the size of a plate. And this one is burying down. This is so huge. So here is, for scale, that's my boot. So we're talking a pretty big animal here. A lot of times people say they see the eye of the moon snail, but that's really just the whorl of their shell. They don't have eyes. Instead, they have two antennae in the front and then this big, fleshy foot. And if you've ever wondered what it feels like to touch a moon snail, if you get the opportunity, you want to get your fingers wet. And that's pretty easy to do because wherever moon snails are, it's pretty wet. And you can just gently touch them, but they feel so much like raw chicken. They're about the same temperature as the chicken in your fridge. It's about 45 degrees out here or so pretty chilly. But it's as if your raw chicken could move. So if you imagine touching chicken breast and it wiggled away from you, that's kind of what a moon snail does. In the spring, we'll see their egg collars on the beach, and those are those really weird looking. They almost look like they're made out of pottery or something like that, like a weird gaskety type thing. And those will be the eggs of the moon snail. And then those eggs, when they hatch in the spring and summer, will become a larval planktonic animal. Here's a moon snail shell. We can take a look at and see the insides. So this is probably a pretty freshly vacated shell because there's no barnacles or very much anything on it. There's a few snails on the inside. And I can see that this front edge here has been broken. And that's usually a sign of predation by a red rock crab. Adult red rock crabs do eat moon snails when they are large like this. When they're small, things like seagulls will eat them because they'll just pick up the snail and drop it and break it. That's a really clever strategy for getting mollusk food out. Same thing they'll do with these cockle shells. So this is a clam species called the heart cockle because it has this beautiful kind of heart-shaped shell to it and just the most ridgy shell ever. I love these heart cockles. They got hit really hard during the heat wave we had this past June. So record high temperatures, highest temperatures that have ever been recorded. Got to be 113 degrees here at the beach, and it was absolutely miserable. And a lot of creatures that were on the top couldn't really escape the heat. They were out for several hours. It was also one of the lowest tides of the year, so I think it was like a negative 3.5 foot tide. Coinciding with this heat wave at 3 p.m., it was just carnage out here. It was very, very devastating. So a lot of the shells that we see are these heart cockles. But I have still seen quite a number of healthy heart cockles on this beach. Here's kind of some evidence of moon snails. Can you see that little track? That's how moon snails, when they come up to the surface and they want to travel fast, they'll kind of pop up and leave one of these little racetracks. Like, this is so fun to watch. Okay, so we can start. I think it starts here. And we can follow the racetrack along. And I believe... Oh no, that's a crab. There is just a little crab face right there. I thought that was going to be where our moon snail is. So our moon snail may be down on the other side. But they kind of leave those little tracks in the mud. So this is what the crabs are doing when they can't follow the tide out. They will bury. This is a red rock crab. But let's go find some moving ones that aren't buried. They love this sandy habitat here. Here's one. This one is missing its left pincher, but don't worry guys, he's all right now. Get it? Oh, such a bad pun, but I say it every time. So this crab will regrow that left pincher eventually. The next time it molts, there will be a little tiny kind of a bud of a pincher, and then it'll get larger the next time and the next time. And you'll notice if you watch this animal, how they move sideways. That is the angle that their legs joints move. So most crabs, if they're going to go fast, can go side to side. They can move forward and backwards. It just takes a little bit more coordination. Ooh, is this a live cockle we have here? I don't think so. Ooh, maybe. No. A live one will not let you open it. That would be, dangerous. Look, we've got a sea star. A beautiful blue mottled star that is eating maybe this is what happened to that crab's pincher. No, this is a graceful crab pincher, but it's definitely being consumed by this mottled star. That beautiful blue color is just gorgeous. Oh, I love to see these animals here. They are, at this beach, in the last couple of years, I've noticed they're mostly blue like this. So what causes that, I have no idea. But always a good sign when we see some sea stars, because they are larger predators. And where there are presence of predators in an ecosystem, it means that all the other trophic levels beneath them are functioning as they should. So we should get really worried when we stop seeing the larger predators. Here's another sea star. Same species, the mottled star. This one's showing off a bit more mottled coloration. Super cool. And I love in the comments, those of you that are posting that you came over from TikTok. Yeah, we did a TikTok live stream right before this, and I was encouraging all of them to come over to Facebook, share the love and excitement that you had on TikTok and bring it with you over to Facebook. So I love to see you there. Thanks for coming. Also, right here on this rock, there is a hermit crab. This is a hairy hermit crab, which is a species that tends to favor shells that are too small. So this animal cannot fit fully inside. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, so I'm gonna point to it because it's really teeny tiny. This little teeny tiny crab is the same species as this big red rock crab. So that little juvenile is gonna grow up to become this big monstrous crab. And this one rock here on the beach has 1, 2, 3 crabs all clamored around it. They're all looking for a little bit of shelter during this low tide. But let's walk along and see what we can see. Ooh, lots more red rock crabs. I usually refer to this as the crabbiest of all the crab species because they are, I used to say aggressive. They're not aggressive. They're defensive. They are, if you go entering their space and interacting with them, they're going to go pinchers first right at you. No questions asked. So quite often they will posture and throw their pinchers out and kind of look very menacing at you. The black-tipped pinchers that are kind of knobbly. Ooh, this one's regrowing a leg. So you can see that second to last leg on the right side. That is a regrown limb. It's not quite full size yet. By the next time this crab molts, it will have a fully replaced leg. Such a really cool characteristic that a lot of invertebrates have. There are very few vertebrates that can regrow body parts that are lost, but invertebrates seem to do that very well. Flatworms, you can cut a flatworm in half and they'll regenerate. Sea stars can regrow their limbs. That first sea star that we saw, the mottled star, was regrowing a limb. Crabs can regrow them. All kinds of survival strategies. And life in the intertidal zone is rough. Oh, here we go. Here's another moon snail. So we're now at, probably about the -1 foot tide, which is where we see the most moon snails. So this moon snail here is an older one, and I can tell because it's got barnacles living on it, and it takes a while for barnacles to reach that size. Also, the younger moon snails are going to be traveling underneath the sand, and the barnacles don't really get a chance to attach. On these bigger moon snails, the barnacles grow on them when they're not really moving through the water very quickly. So here's the mark of a moon snail here on this soft-shelled clam. You can see that little hole right there. Sorry, try to focus without blinding you guys. So that hole there is what the moon snails, how they kind of go in and eat the clam. The clam has a really strong adductor muscle that holds them shut, and if the moon snail can grab it and they lick through this, they do this with their tongue, which is called a radula, and it's like a chainsaw, and they scrape through this perfectly round little hole and damage the muscle inside. The clam then opens, the moon snail eats the rest of it, and then this is left on the beach. And we like to encourage people to leave shells on the beach because they become habitat for other animals. A lot of larval species like barnacles, they need a place to live, and a shell is a great place for that. Barnacles are kind of interesting because the first thing that they land on is where they're stuck. They never get to move once they're adults. So cool. Tonight we're out at the Purdy sand spit. So our lovely community scientists are working hard following the beach monitoring protocol, and they are measuring the different biodiversity of the beach as well as how the beach has changed from winter to summer. They measure the exact same spot at precise tidal heights, and all that data can then be used for future scientists. I always like to think of, what would happen if all the bulkheads on Henderson Bay were removed? How would that change our beach? Or what if there was an oil spill in this area? How would we know when it was restored to kind of pre-catastrophe levels? And that information that we gather gives us a little bit of a snapshot. And we do that. I think we're monitoring 13 beaches around the South Sound. And it's really fun because we can really use just about anybody. We've been very closed off, of course, during the pandemic. just running kind of a skeleton crew here of individuals who are willing to come out in the rain and the wind and the cold. Did I mention it's very cold out here tonight? It's I think it was about 43 degrees or so. Pretty chilly. Anyway, I'm kind of in a boring spot on the beach because all the life that's here where I am is all under. And you can see the kind of waviness of the sand. That means the sand shifts around a bit. Oh, here's another big moon snail. This is a great beach for finding moon snails because there's so many clams. And that's what the moon snails are preying on. This is a beautiful specimen with a very clean shell here. There's my hand for some scale. There's a little hermit crab right next to it. Just a little thing. And it's holding on to another hermit crab. The larger crab is likely the male who's holding on to the female with the hopes of being able to mate with her. And it just goes to show you how stinking strong these crabs can be, because he's able to just carry around like an equal-sized animal to himself. Just drags her around. She just hangs out in the shell. It's a beautiful snail here. Right on the surface, crawling around. Probably didn't even know the tide was going out. If I come back on this side, you can get a glimpse in to where the snail's gills are. So you can see the kind of the edge of their shell. This curl in their front part of their foot allows water to get down to their gills. Super cool animal to see out here at the beach. We just love finding these cool big predators and watching them do what they do. Love it. Oh, I see so many of my friends watching here tonight. Hi, Dennis. Good to see you, man. It's always fun when we see people we know popping in the comments. Here's another huge moon snail. My goodness, they are out tonight. This is a big one. This is probably the biggest one we've seen yet. So we're getting into kind of much larger sized animal than the first few. Awesome to see. Again, they're eating clams, and there are plenty of clams on this beach. It's just the perfect habitat for them. They are filter feeders. Another moon snail here. Wowzer. This one's heading down into the underground under the sand. But clams are filter feeders. They're pulling water in and extracting plankton out of it. But it means they don't really have a choice in what types of food that they're getting. And if the water's contaminated, they're going to become contaminated. So clams are one of those things that can be easily polluted. This is a gaper clam, a nice big one. You can see why they get the name gaper clam when you see the opening there. And I can tell that this is not a geoduck because of how rounded it is. It's much more kind of oval shaped. And then this opening is kind of at a slant. Geoduck is more rectangular shaped. Oh, check this out. Okay, this is super cool. I mean, kind of super cool. It's a bunch of dead sand dollars, babies. They don't get to grow up, so it's not that cool, I suppose. But what this means is they were eaten by a predator. So these teeny tiny little sand dollars, I mean, they're just so small. Usually it's like sea stars that'll scoop them up and eat them, and they'll just basically digest all the fleshy bits, and then those skeletons are not really digestible, so they get regurgitated in a little pile there. Oh, can you guys hear? I don't think you can hear them, but there's tons of clams squirting, little geysers of water up all around me. So this is our first night of our community science efforts. We'll be out until Tuesday, I think. We've got really nice negative tides and special permission from our local parks to access these beaches at night. But if you have access to a beach at night tide pooling can be an amazing thing. The hardest thing is staying warm and dry. I already walked in. You can see my overalls are already soaked. I went in too far. I'm dry underneath, luckily, because I have my tall boots on. But all right, I'm gonna turn around and head back to the other side of the beach and see what we can see over there. Probably pass by a few more moon snails. And let's see if we can get these to some sand dollar territory. Oh, wait, here we go. Here's a cool creature. A beautiful mottled sea star. One of my favorite species. And look at the color blue. That is just fantastic. And then this one even has a little symbiotic relationship with the scale worm right here. Just sort of tucked into its armpit. There's another one down on this arm. We can also see the tube feet moving here. They look like little noodles, don't they? Fantastic. And you'll notice at the end of each arm on our sea star, it tips upwards. And that's because they have an eye spot. So this sea star is probably trying to figure out, why is it so bright all of a sudden? It's supposed to be night. They can't see like shapes or colors really, but they do have rudimentary eye spots that can sense light and dark. So this thing is probably like, wait, I thought it was nighttime. And look, it's waving at all of you. Say hi, sea star. This one's actually kind of moving quite fast for a sea star, at least. They're not known for being super speedy. This is kind of a medium-sized sea star. When they're fully grown, you know, each arm might be 3 or 4 inches like wide, and their whole limbs might be over 2 feet from end to end on the widest part. They are a 5-limbed sea star, which is pretty typical. We call it pentaradial symmetry, meaning you could slice this in 5 pieces like a pie, and each side would be the same, with the exception of this little spot on the top called the madreporite. That is the sieve plate by which they bring water into their body systems. This one is kind of showing off a little bit. I hope it shows up on camera. Their orange gills. So that's why they get the name mottled stars, is their gills are often a different color than their skeleton. And you'll notice on this sea star, there's nothing living on it except for those scale worms. It's the only animal they permit to grow on them. They don't allow barnacles to settle on them. There's no algae growing on them. And that's because they have to breathe through their skin, and anything growing on them would inhibit that. So they have tiny, tiny microscopic pinchers called pedicelaria that come out and really like attack anything that lands on them. And if you encounter a sea star and you want to experience that, I recommend touching the hairs on like your hand or your arm to the back of the sea star, and they will grab onto your hairs thinking that they're attacking or trying to grow on the star, and you can feel them. Yes, I am out at Purdy Spit. Thank you, Erin, for answering that for me. The Purdy Sand Spit in Gig Harbor, Washington. I know a lot of you folks are joining me from TikTok, and you may not be anywhere near Gig Harbor. So if you want to post in the comments where you're from, I'd love to know that information. We've got our kind of local crew of folks tuning in, but it's nice to know when we have a little bit of farther and further reach. Oh, here's an interesting thing to find at the beach. We've got a tennis ball. No doubt from somebody probably playing fetch with their dog here. I don't really want to pick that up because I'm going to be soaking wet if I do. Here's another moon snail and another moon snail. It's a big one. They're just such cool creatures. I love to see them. The other thing that I brought with me tonight is I did bring our black light. I was curious one time if anything would kind of glow at the beach, and had this little tiny black light that my husband got for me, and he was like, no, we need to get you a bigger one. So I have this huge black light here. But let me go down to the shore where there's a few more animals. The moon snails don't glow. I already tried. I was really hoping they would be like fluorescent pink or something. But no, they don't glow at all. But our crustaceans, the crabs and shrimp, totally glow. And I'll show you what I mean here. Okay, now that I'm to the eelgrass beds, I have to watch where I step a little bit more. All right, but here's a couple red rock crabs. So that's their true color. Now let me turn off my headlamp here. Sorry, I gotta go through all the modes, and then we'll turn on the black light. This ultraviolet light causes fluorescent proteins to glow. Isn't that so cool? It's totally green. And then the eelgrass is like blood red. And you can see a few of those little shrimp in there too, glowing as well. So sometimes I find cool creatures by just zooming around with the black light. But I am not good at walking in the dark. So I'm gonna turn my regular headlamp back on so I can see what I'm doing and not step on any animals. That would be heartbreaking. We're out here trying to inspire stewardship for them. It would not be very fair of me to just crunch a bunch of them. So I'm always very careful where I step. Oh, here's a bunch of juvenile red rock crabs. So these are just little ones. They've got their red rock coloration though when they're juveniles. Oh, here's a interestingly colored, looks like it's probably algae growing on them, graceful crab. You can see the purple of their limbs compared to kind of the brick red and mottled of the red rock crabs. Let's see if you glow, friend. Let's see. Ooh, you do kind of glow in your joints. A little bit different than the all over glow. Where are you? Of the red rock crabs. And they don't all glow the same, which makes me think that perhaps it's something living on them. Could be bacterial or something living on the outside of their shells that causes them to glow like this. All right, so our team is, you can just see their lights over there. They are shooting in the, they're determining the slope of this beach and how it has changed from last winter, and from this summer. So we do this community monitoring in the summer and the winter. And it's just a really helpful way for us to learn more about our beaches. And you don't need any special training to do it. So we do, normally under non-pandemic times, we invite the public to come out and explore the beaches with us and learn more, really, really intimately learn what's on the beach, and count. All you have to do is be able to count. In the wintertime, we have usually a lot smaller group of people that participate because it's at night. And tonight's low tide is fairly early. It's about at, I think, around 10 o'clock or so. But by the time we get to Tuesday, we're going to be dealing with a lot later tides. I think the low tide on Tuesday is like 1 a.m. So we have some really rock solid team of people that come out. Here's another one of those mottled sea stars. And again, kind of that blue color. They're not always blue, but this beach, the blue ones seem to be very successful. Love to see these guys. So cool. All right, let's go down. And I'm going to show you guys some sand dollars. And then maybe I'll check in with our team. Ooh, there was a big splash. Something's out there in the water. Lots of somethings, I'm sure. But nothing I can see. But that sounded like harbor seal or sea lion sized big splash. Okay, so I apologize for the rocky filming. I'm trying not to step on anything. I'm trying to move quickly down the beach. And it's kind of tricky. I do appreciate all of you guys tuning in and watching. If you like this kind of content and you want to support our organization, we are a nonprofit and you can donate right on our website, harborwildwatch.org. You can also use Venmo. Just make sure you select that you have to choose like the business Harbor Wild Watch, all one word, but we're on Venmo too. You can also donate your time with our organization. We are going to be gearing up for our summer beach season, and we'll be putting together a really fun training program for people who want to be out on the beach. I just spied this huge moon snail. Look how big that thing is. That is a huge snail. So now we're getting to kind of the maximum size for them. It's a big, big animal. It's like a dinner plate. Big, squishy snail. Oh, I love it. And then the other way, sorry, I got sidetracked by a moon snail. The other way that you can support our organization is by doing what you're doing right now, by engaging with our content, by sharing, liking, commenting. All of that good stuff helps to push this out to even more viewers. And then our message of stewardship for this amazing habitat goes out to even more people. So if you're not following us on our YouTube channel already, please do subscribe to that. We're also on TikTok. I know a lot of folks on this live stream came from our TikTok that I was doing right before this. You guys are so obedient. You'll just do whatever I say, right? No, we love the ways that people engage with our content. I've made it my goal to post at least one video a day on TikTok. And then we also, of course, have an Instagram and a YouTube and then Facebook. So the ways that you like and share and comment our videos really are helpful. Especially because we never know where our next major donor is going to come from. You might share this feed with somebody who decides that, wow, Harbor Wild Watch is something I really want to support. I love their mission. I love inspiring stewardship. It's something I really believe in. And then that funds our programs and helps keep them free for months to come. So thank you to those of you who do support us and do engage regularly with our content. It is appreciated. And you should know when you're supporting any nonprofit that there's a human on the other side of the social media pages. So, we love to read the compliments and answer the questions as best we can. It's super fun. All right, so we've changed habitat a little bit. I'm still kind of in the sandy, right at kind of the edges of the eelgrass, but I'm starting to notice more of these tube worms. They're going to be really hard to show on camera. Let's see. So these tiny little tubes here, there's worms inside of there. And if I look out across the beach, can you see all those tubes? Those are filter feeding tube worms. So they are also pulling in plankton, just like the clams are, just like the barnacles are, just like the mussels are and the oysters. There's so many things that filter feed here because it's just such a productive habitat. There's lots and lots of things to see. So many. Look at all these red rock crabs. I was telling Stina earlier, I think I've seen more red rock crabs tonight than I've seen in the whole rest of my life. And that's saying a lot because I spend a lot of my time at the beach. Okay, so I'm walking. Hopefully the wind noise is less when I'm facing this direction. I'm kind of blocking it with my body. It feels a little bit warmer, although it's not warm by any stretch. It's quite cold out tonight. We've got actually, you can just barely see those clouds. And then the rest is clear sky. I can see stars out, which is not very typical of winter in the Pacific Northwest. Normally these programs are pretty rainy and cold. Here's another beautiful bluish mottled sea star. This one you can see their little tube feet moving. So this species is one that is in kind of a state of recovery, we hope, from sea star wasting syndrome, which has been really active all up and down the West Coast since about 2013 or so. And mottled stars, we were seeing cases of wasting. Here's another nice healthy one. Again, that beautiful blue color. But I haven't seen wasting in mottled stars around here anyway for the past couple of years. Other species were hit really dramatically and had almost like eradicated their population. I shouldn't say eradicate, that makes them seem like pests. The sunflower stars, I haven't seen a healthy sunflower star since 2016, I think. Me personally, other people have seen them, but just not me. It's another mottled star. This one's showing off a little bit slightly different color, kind of more drab, less blue, but then that beautiful orange gills. And again, another scale worm. Little symbiotic relationship. All right, now I'm having to be really careful where I step because there are just as many red rock crabs, only on this part of the beach they tend to bury. So you can kind of see this large one here buried down in. And if I'm kind of reading the sand patterns right now to know where those crabs are because they don't stay buried down there for very long. So I'm looking for kind of freshly disturbed sand. Here's another sea star. It's a cousin to the sand dollars, and I'm making my way to sand dollars. Kind of have to cross this rocky cobble section, and then we'll be in kind of Sand Dollar Town. They're also a little bit higher up. I should go up the beach some to try to find more of them. Ooh, here's something that's kind of cool. You can guess what you think it is in the comments. This is chum salmon remains. Just the skin is kind of all that's left there. Oh, I should totally shine the black light on the sea star. Yeah, that's a good idea. Now I gotta find it again. It was here a second ago. Where was I? Okay. Now I'm not gonna find a whole nother one all night because I want to find one. Oh, they're here somewhere. Okay, I just saw like 4 of them. What the heck? Now they're really good at hiding. Okay, well, we'll keep going to Sand Dollar Town, and I will, if I come across one, you guys remind me. I can't always read the comments because I'm trying to walk and talk and not step on animals all at the same time. It's very, very hectic. And you'd think I'd have tons of practice doing this all for the past year and a half or so, but I'm still not very good at it. Especially at night. Okay, found a sea star. So here's a mottled star. This one's moving quite a bit. And then let's turn off my headlamp. Sorry for the blinking. And they don't really glow. The rocks do, and the algae does on the rocks, but just kind of same color. All right, well, that was not very exciting. The moon snails don't glow either. I really wanted them to be very fluorescent, but I suppose they wouldn't really have a need to be. A lot of the fluorescing proteins are actually like a sunscreen for a lot of things. There's a little bit of kelp washed up here. But here's another big moon snail. I'm telling you, these things are out all over the place. I love it. Okay, so if I go up, we should be able to find some sand dollars here. They're still kind of on the other side of the beach, but we're making our way there. You guys are hanging in here with me. I love it. Okay. Oh, look how red this big red rock crab is. Very nice. Okay, so eelgrass tells me we're too deep for sand dollars, so I have to go up. Got another moon snail. This one, you can see that kind of whirl where it's like a siphon that pulls water down over to the gills. This one's going down pretty quickly. Very cool. Okay, so eelgrass, too deep for sand dollars. They want to be a little more intertidal than that, so we're going to head up the beach a bit and find some sand dollars, I hope. I know they're here. There's millions of them here. I'm glad they're not worth $1. Okay, here we go. So we're close because I see broken ones. Here we go. So this is a sand dollar. This one is turned upside down, so let me just write it for you so you can get a good close view. Do you see the sparkling? I was thinking of them. They're like the little disco balls of the sailor sea. They have very short spines. They're longer on the underside. So let me give this animal a flip. And their scientific name is Dendraster, which means tree star. Eccentricus, because they are the eccentric sand dollar. I guess kind of because they're off center, and you can see their little kind of sea star pattern. This one's not a good one to show the pattern off. Sometimes the dead ones, you can see the pattern on them. They have that kind of, looks like a little sea star imprint. But now that I've seen a few, we're going to see tons. They're everywhere here. And it was really interesting earlier tonight, I actually saw red rock crabs eating them, which I had never seen before. There's not a whole lot of like meat on a sand dollar. But because they don't have a central nervous system, they don't know when they're dead. So here we have a sand dollar that is still moving, still sparkling, still doing their disco ball thing, but the animal has been eaten inside. Sand dimes. Howard, you are hilarious. We did see a bunch of teeny tiny ones. Could call them sand dimes. So their skeletons, when they're first dead, are white like this. This is like what you would see in a gift shop or shell shop. They're called tests. Urchins also have tests. And then after they've been dead for a little bit of time, they start to turn brown like this. So here's one where you can see the nice shell pattern on the top. And there are thousands of them here. Millions, not just thousands. There are so many sand dollars here. It is wild. So here's another one. This one's got a little injury to it, but they can repair that. I've seen many sand dollars that have kind of healed little sections of their shell. It won't really grow back, but it will seal them off so they don't have like an open cavity any longer. Okay, friends. Well, I am frozen. It is very, very cold out here. And only getting colder because there is no cloud cover out here. It's gorgeous. It's cold. So I think I'm going to wrap things up. But thanks to all of you for tuning in with us. I hope you learned. I hope you had fun. And I hope if you have the means to, you can like and share and comment, or maybe even donate to our page. Again, we are a nonprofit. You can do that right at harborwildwatch.org. And we do appreciate every sand dollar that you can give us. Even your sand pennies will count, I suppose. Thanks so much for watching tonight. We're going to be bringing you more live night beach walks all night this week. So make sure that you're a follower of Harbor Wild Watch. Also, please do subscribe on our YouTube channel as well, because we hope to be able to bring you some live content there. Thanks again for tuning in with me and hanging out with us at the beach. And once again,